The Twisted Lens, Episode 4, the folly of prohibition. Today I look at one of my favorite chapters from Beyond the Blindfold. Prohibition is everywhere and out to destroy my life. I thought it was over because I had associated the idea with the decade-long ban on alcohol in the 1920s. I was dead wrong, and I learned that prohibition is not romantic or the stuff of movies. It's very much alive and dangerous. Let's twist the lens and look at prohibition in another way. Mark Twain was fond of saying that nothing needs reforming as much as other people's habits. Well, that's funny and insightful. It hides a much more serious truth. In its purest form, to prohibit means to ban or exclude, but in practice, it means to control. It can take the form of conventional laws or can be as subtle as isolation or social disapproval simply because of my beliefs. It can also be as deceptively simple as telling my son what time to go to bed, prohibited from staying up any later. So here's the big idea. Prohibition is everywhere and cannot possibly work beyond the short term. The second big idea is that I attempt to prohibit, foolishly, nearly as often as I'm controlled, banned, or excluded by others. And here's why it can't succeed. In the big book, you know the book, it says, "Thou shalt not kill, steal, covet, etc." Well, and we know how that's working out. It's laughable to think that speed limits will stop speeding or that gates and walls will somehow stop trespassing. And what about the decades-long war on drugs? Can a government really prohibit people from buying something that they want? And how about wars with real bullets being fought as you hear these words? Can a conquering army really prohibit a large group of unwilling people beyond the short term? I was in South Africa during the apartheid days, 22 million being prohibited by 4 million. We knew how that had to end. Okay, so what to do and what is the practical application of this information? After a decade-long struggle, here's my summary. Every time I say the word no, I am creating conflict and some sort of prohibition that will most certainly fail. Conversely true when someone says no to me. These days, hearing myself say no is my signal to step back, reassess, and negotiate. The old me would have said, "No, you can't stay at the party until 11. Your curfew is 10. Of course, the kid comes home at 11 and the fight is on, well, as predicted. The new me says, 11, okay, sit down for a few minutes and let's discuss it. Tell me about who's going to be at the party and why the extra hour is so important to you. Starting from a positive position, even if I don't like it, allows me to negotiate and learn a little bit more about the situation. And what about when the stakes get higher? I said no because it's for your own good. Good luck with that approach. That never works. No, you can't have a beer unless you are 21 years old. Now, you can join the army and at 18 and be killed or maimed, but an underage beer, far too dangerous. What the actual, can't say that on a podcast. Or my favorite, it's a just war. Those people, whoever they are, shouldn't be doing that, whatever that is, and we have to stop them. Really? When I read or watch the news, I listen for stories that rely on one group banning, excluding, or trying to control another. I listen carefully because it's easy to get drawn into a simplistic narrative that makes no fundamental sense. And consider, too, that nature never prohibits. We are all welcome to do as we please, but must accept the consequences. If I had to pack my own parachute before skydiving for the very first time, I would not be late for that class. No threats or sermons or alarm clocks needed, that's for sure. So as a metaphor, I try hard to encourage others to not do as I say, but to pack their own parachutes, even if their choices may go against a lifetime of my own experience. Always start from yes instead of no is what I've learned. Oh, and as a PS, we've all pulled up to a red light in the middle of the night. Not another car in sight, and yet often we wait. Common sense tells us to keep on driving, but arbitrary prohibitions are so deeply ingrained in our lives that we just blindly obey. Recognition is the first step, I think. Much more on this in the weeks ahead.